The Galactic Council chamber was filled with light and sound. Hundreds of alien delegates floating in glass orbs or standing in metallic frames, each representing a different world, 1,000 languages whispering in unison, all repeating the same sentence. Humanity must be restricted. At the center of the chamber, the human representative stood alone. Surrounded by the tall and elegant figures of the alien races, they looked at him not as an equal, but as a problem that needed control. For years, the galaxy had feared humanity's rapid progress in less than 2 centuries. Humans had leapt from primitive rockets to faster-than-light drives. They had colonized moons, terraformed planets, and built ships that rivaled alien war cruisers. The council chair, a being of silver tendrils known as the Valthar Speaker, raised its luminous hand and said in a calm but cold tone, "By unanimous decision, the construction of human warships is now forbidden." The words echoed like thunder through the vast chamber. Humans were stunned. The decree would strip Earth of its military rights, leaving it defenseless in a galaxy full of predators. The human envoy, an older man with tired eyes, clenched his fists. He wanted to protest, but he knew resistance meant exile from the galactic community. The council had already painted humanity as unstable, violent, and unpredictable. Any argument would only prove them right. He bowed his head and said quietly, "Earth will comply." But inside, his heart burned like fire. Back on Earth, the reaction was one of fury and disbelief. News broadcasts filled every screen. "Council bans human warships," people shouted in anger on the streets. Some cursed the aliens, others blamed their own leaders for being weak. Yet in every corner of the planet, one truth began to spread. If humanity gave up its defenses, it would not survive long. In orbit, existing Terran warships were dismantled under the watch of alien inspectors. Massive vessels that once guarded trade routes were scrapped. Their crews dismissed, their captains humiliated. One of them, a young officer named Jalen, stood on the observation deck of the orbital station as his ship. The horizon was torn apart piece by piece. The glowing plasma cutters slicing through the hull felt like knives in his chest. He whispered to himself, "They fear what they don't understand." Far below, deep in a hidden research facility buried under the Arctic ice, a small group of scientists and engineers watched the newsfeed in silence. One of them, Dr. Mara Holt, turned off the screen and said softly, "Then we'll build where they can't see." The others looked at her. "Uncertain, we can't," one whispered. "The satellites, the patrols, they'll find us." Mara shook her head. "Not if we build under the oceans." That night, encrypted messages began to travel across secure channels. Old military contacts, rogue engineers, and ex-fleet captains received a single coded phrase. Project Obsidian has begun. It was humanity's secret answer to the galactic ban. While the galaxy celebrated its victory, thinking humans had been tamed, beneath the waves of Earth's great oceans, work had already started. Abandoned submarine bases were reactivated, underwater mining drones were repurposed, and massive construction frames rose silently in the darkness. Humans called them shell yards, each capable of housing a warship larger than anything built before. The world governments denied any knowledge. On the surface, everything seemed peaceful, but in the deep, machines worked day and night, cutting, welding, assembling, powered by geothermal vents and shielded by electromagnetic cloaks. Alien satellites scanned above, seeing only endless water. Never knowing what hid below, months turned into years, and humanity learned patience. No one spoke openly about the fleet, not even in whispers. Children grew up hearing stories of how their ancestors once had ships that touched the stars. Some thought those stories were myths, but a few still believed. Meanwhile, the Galactic Council grew complacent, their arrogance blinding them. They believed Earth was under control. They sent fewer patrols, fewer spies, confident that humans had surrendered. But on a stormy night in the Pacific, deep under the trench where light never reached, a giant structure hummed to life, its metallic skin absorbing the ocean pressure like armor, its engines glowing with blue fire. The first of the Obsidian fleet was awakening. Up above, a small fishing vessel passed unaware, its crew looking at the water as strange bubbles rose from the depths. The captain joked, "Maybe it's a volcano." No one knew that below them. A human warship had just taken its first breath. In the following months, secret cargo ships ferried components disguised as oceanic research materials. Nations that were enemies on paper secretly cooperated. Engineers from every continent joined the cause. No flag, no politics, only one goal. Never be helpless again. The human envoy who once stood humiliated before the council now sat in a dimly lit command room, watching encrypted data streams of progress. He smiled faintly and whispered, "They wanted peace through control. We'll give them peace through strength." Somewhere in the deep ocean, a massive shadow moved past the sensors. The engineers held their breath as the readings stabilized. A voice echoed through the intercom, calm and steady. "Prototype Obsidian 1 operational." The crew erupted in quiet cheers, none of them realizing they had just changed the balance of power in the entire galaxy. Far away, alien observatories detected faint energy spikes near Earth's magnetic field, but dismissed them as natural phenomena. None of them imagined that humanity, once bound by rules, was now rewriting them in silence. And as the last fragment of the horizon drifted into a recycling furnace, Captain Jalen looked at the stars and whispered a promise that echoed through every secret lab and hidden dockyard. "You banned our ships, but not our will." The hidden shipyards beneath the endless blue of Earth's oceans, where sunlight never reached, giant shadows began to move. The water was thick with silence, disturbed only by the rumble of hidden machines. In the black depths of the Mariana Trench, the secret human project had become a living heartbeat. The first base, codenamed Abyss 1, was carved into the side of an underwater cliff. From the surface, it looked like nothing more than rock and sand, but inside, thousands of engineers and scientists worked day and night, their faces lit by the glow of control panels and holographic blueprints. No one outside the project knew they existed. Even most governments had erased all records of them. Dr. Mara Holt walked along a catwalk above a half-constructed warship, her breath fogging in the cold recycled air. The ship below her was enormous, larger than anything humanity had ever built. Its hull black as obsidian, designed to absorb radar, sonar, and light. It was the perfect ghost, no sound, no trace, only purpose. "Engines are stable," an engineer called out, his voice echoing through the chamber. "Fusion output at 70%, Mara nodded. "Keep it there. We can't risk detection from heat signatures." Every word she spoke carried weight. The galaxy watched the skies for human defiance, but no one ever thought to look beneath the waves. In another sector, Captain Jalen inspected the crew training center. Hundreds of pilots and officers stood in perfect silence before him. They were the best humanity had. Veterans, test pilots, strategists, people erased from records, all gathered for one mission. Jalen's voice was calm but firm. "You are ghosts. The galaxy believes humanity is weak. You will show them what real strength means, but not yet. Not until the time comes." Far above them, alien patrols orbited Earth, scanning for energy readings. Their ships glowed silver under the sun, unaware that miles below, human warships were being born every night. Their sensors detected faint vibrations from the deep, but the data was always dismissed as tectonic movement. The arrogance of the galaxy blinded them. Each ship built under the sea was more advanced than the last. Humans had learned from centuries of mistakes. They did not build for numbers. They built for perfection. The hulls were made of adaptive alloys that changed density under pressure. Their reactors used compressed dark fusion, an energy source banned in the galaxy for being too unstable. But humans made it work. The first completed vessel, Obsidian 1, was a thing of beauty and terror, a black dagger hidden in the ocean's heart. When its engines first ignited, the entire base trembled. The ocean above boiled for a second and then fell silent again. The ship vanished from every scanner. As if it had never existed, Dr. Holt stood in the observation room, watching as the ship slowly rose from the docking bay into open water. "Beautiful," she whispered beside her. Jalen crossed his arms. "One day the galaxy will see her and they'll remember this moment." Mara looked at him, her eyes calm. "Let's hope they're ready." But not all was safe. Deep in the cold reaches of the asteroid belt, alien listening stations had begun to detect strange transmissions from Earth's oceans, coded bursts of energy that didn't match natural sources. Reports reached the Galactic Council. Some warned of human non-compliance, but most laughed it off. The council speaker said with confidence, "Humans have neither the resources nor the courage to build again." They were wrong. In the coming months, Abyss 1 expanded. New domes rose from the ocean floor, each connected by magnetic tunnels, factories, barracks, and command centers spread like veins through the rock. The hum of machines became the rhythm of a world hidden from time. Every worker knew the risk. Discovery meant death, but they worked anyway, Because this was about more than pride, it was survival. Mara Holt and her team secretly coordinated with bases across the world. Abyss 2 under the Arctic Shelf, Abyss 3 in the Atlantic Canyon, and Abyss 4 near the Antarctic Ridge. Every base had a purpose. One built engines, another created weapons, another trained soldiers. The final one served as command. Together they formed a web of power unseen by any alien eye. At night, Mara stood alone by the viewing window. Looking into the darkness of the ocean, strange lights from deep-sea creatures shimmered like stars. She thought of the Council, of their arrogance, of how they laughed when they took humanity's ships away. She whispered to the sea, "You wanted us weak. You made us stronger." Above the clouds, the Galactic Council continued their politics. They debated new restrictions. They congratulated themselves for maintaining peace. Their fleets patrolled human colonies. Their spies listened to open channels, but none of them dared to go deep. None of them ever understood the Terran saying, "If you push humanity into a corner, they build their way out in one of the secret domes." A child's voice echoed in the corridors. One of the workers' children had been born in the base, growing up among machines. She asked Mara one day, "Why do we live down here?" "Miss Holt," Mara smiled softly, "because one day, little one, the world above will need us." The construction of the second ship, Obsidian 2, began soon after. It was larger, faster, more powerful. The ocean floor trembled as its engines tested for the first time. Energy waves rippled across the Pacific, detected by alien satellites, but once again dismissed as geological activity. The secret was holding, but time was running out. Earth's colonies were still under alien watch, human trade was heavily taxed, and Council patrols grew suspicious of Earth's silence. Somewhere out there, an alien scout was getting too curious, and when it looked too closely, humanity would have to decide: stay hidden or rise. Deep in the heart of Abyss 1, Captain Jalen stood before a massive holographic screen displaying dozens of dots, each one a ship under construction. He turned to his officers and said quietly, "When they come for us again, they will not find victims." His voice was low, steady, unshakable. "They will find the ghosts they created." And as the ocean currents swept over the shipyards, the world above remained peaceful. Quiet, unaware, but beneath that calm surface, humanity was sharpening its blade, waiting for the day the galaxy would force it to strike. The spark of war years passed in silence. The oceans kept their secrets well, but in the darkness of space, the galaxy began to stir again. At the edge of human-controlled territory, a small colony called Helios Station sent a distress signal. It was a mining world, home to 20,000 civilians, mostly workers and families. Their message was simple: "Under attack, need help, anyone? Please." The attackers were not pirates, but ships of the Varn Dominion, one of the oldest powers in the galaxy. They claimed the humans had trespassed into restricted space. They came with fire, their plasma beams turning the sky above Helios into burning glass. No one came to help. The Galactic Council ignored the signal, calling it a local matter. Their fleets watched but did nothing. To them, humans were not worth saving on Earth. The transmission reached the hidden command centers beneath the ocean. Silence filled the room. Faces turned pale as the screams of helpless colonists echoed through the speakers. Then the screen went dark. Captain Jalen stood motionless, his hands gripping the edge of the control desk. Mara Holt whispered softly, "We can't reveal ourselves yet," but her voice trembled. Jalen's eyes were cold and steady. "We built these ships to protect humanity, not to watch it die." Mara looked away, torn between duty and fury. "If we act now, the Council will know. Everything we built will be exposed," Jalen replied quietly. "Then let them know." But the order never came. The human governments on the surface remained silent, fearing galactic punishment. Official news channels called the event a tragedy, but underground networks spread the truth. The Varn Dominion had wiped out an entire human colony. Unarmed, undefended, unpunished in the deep-sea base, morale began to fracture. Soldiers clenched their fists. Engineers worked without sleep. Anger powered every circuit, every bolt, every breath. Doctor Holt knew that silence could no longer protect them forever. She gathered her team and said, "If we don't act, they'll come for Earth next." Her words hung heavy in the recycled air. Days later, a faint coded signal reached the shipyard. It was a fragment of the Helios distress call. Hidden within it was a data packet, footage of the attack, alien ships firing on civilian habitats, children running through fire. The message ended with the colony administrator's final words: If anyone hears this, tell them we believed in humanity. That night, the message spread through every hidden base, played on repeat across screens. Men and women who had lived in the shadows for years watched in silence. Their eyes burning with quiet rage, Jalen stood before them. They told us not to build warships, he said. Now we see why. His voice carried through the metallic halls like thunder. They don't want peace, they want obedience. The following day, strange lights flickered deep beneath the Pacific. Security cameras caught massive shadows moving through the water. One after another, dark hulls began to rise. The Obsidian fleet was awakening. Not by command, but by will, but before they could act. Something unexpected happened. A small alien scout ship from the Council entered Earth's orbit. Its crew was investigating the rumors of human rearmament. They had intercepted fragments of encrypted transmissions. As they passed over the Pacific, their scanners detected an energy spike. Faint but unnatural. The captain ordered a closer scan. That scan almost exposed everything. The Abyss 1 systems trembled as their cloaking field strained against the alien sensors. Alarms echoed through the base. Energy sweep detected, yelled a technician. They're scanning deep. Mara's heart raced. Shut down all reactors now. The lights dimmed. Engines went silent for a full minute. Every human in the base held their breath. Up above, the alien crew frowned at the data. One said strange reading, but probably a current anomaly. Their captain nodded. Uninterested. Mark it as geological noise. Within seconds, the ship turned away, disappearing into the clouds. The humans exhaled as the danger passed. Jalen whispered, We're out of time. One more scan like that and we're finished. Mara nodded slowly. Then maybe it's time they see what they created. The Council's arrogance reached new heights after Helios. They announced new sanctions against Earth, forbidding all space expansion for the next 50 years. They called it a safety measure, but to humans it was another chain. Their ambassadors tried to protest but were silenced in the outer colonies. Whispers began. The galaxy fears us because it knows what we can become. Deep below, Jalen called a secret meeting with his senior officers. The room was dimly lit, the ocean pressing against the walls like a silent witness. We built these ships to defend, not to destroy, he said. But the moment will come when we must choose, silence or survival. Doctor. Holt stepped forward, her voice calm but steady. And when that day comes, the galaxy will see what it banned. That night, she stood alone by the glass viewport, watching as Obsidian 1 glided through the dark waters like a shadow of vengeance. She thought of Helios, of the children who never saw the dawn. And she whispered to herself, You wanted us to be peaceful, but you forgot. Peace without freedom is just another prison. Up in the sky, alien patrols continued, unaware that beneath them, the sea itself hid an armada, engines sleeping, waiting, each ship carrying the same silent vow that one day, if the galaxy pushed too far, the oceans would open, and humanity would rise again, far away at the edge of known space. The wreckage of Helios still drifted among the stars. Silent, cold, forgotten by the Council, but not by Earth. Small probes disguised as meteor debris approached the ruins, transmitting data back home. Images of destruction, proof that peace through obedience was a lie. And in the depths of the ocean, Captain Jalen stood before the observation deck, looking out into the void, his voice soft but clear. They burned Helios to remind us of our place, he said. Now we'll remind them why they feared us. The spark had been lit, and soon the fire would reach the stars. The fleet awakens. The storm above the Pacific Ocean was fierce that night. Lightning danced across the sky. Waves crashed like thunder, but far below that chaos, something ancient and powerful stirred in the silent depths of the Abyss 1 base. Alarms pulsed red through the corridors. Engineers ran between stations, and across every speaker came one steady voice. Initiate Project Obsidian. For years the fleet had slept, hidden beneath miles of ocean pressure. But the time for silence had ended. The destruction of Helios had broken the last restraint on human patience. Captain Jalen stood in the command bridge, the glow of holographic displays reflecting in his eyes. All systems green, reported the navigation officer. Powering primary reactors. Deep below the base, the ocean floor began to tremble. Massive hangar doors disguised as cliffs of stone started to slide open, revealing the black hulls of ships that shimmered like liquid night. One by one, their engines ignited with ghostly blue light. The sound was not thunder, it was deeper, heavier, like the heartbeat of a sleeping god waking after centuries. The current swirled violently as the first ship, Obsidian One lifted from the dock, Doctor. Mara Holt watched from the control tower, her hands shaking slightly. "We shouldn't be doing this," she whispered. "If they find out," Jalen's voice cut through the fear. "They already know what we are." The commander's calm tone steadied everyone in the room. "We won't attack, not yet. But the galaxy must understand that we will never kneel again." The first ship breached the surface of the water, rising through the storm like a shadow breaking through time. Waves exploded outward as it emerged, its black hull glistening under flashes of lightning. The words Erebus-class warship glowed faintly on its side, though few would ever live to read them high above. Alien surveillance satellites rotated, catching glimpses of strange electromagnetic disturbances, but the data was scrambled before it could transmit. Inside the ship, the crew took their positions. Everything was new yet familiar, human ingenuity woven into every system. The walls hummed softly as power surged through conduits, and then, for the first time, a voice spoke through the ship's comm network. "Fleet command to all vessels, this is Captain Jalen. Begin ascent protocol." Across the ocean, dozens of dark shapes began to rise, each one more massive than the last. The ocean itself seemed alive, the waves glowing faintly as hidden engines tore through the deep. Fishermen far away saw strange lights under their boats and crossed themselves in fear, thinking they had seen the ghosts of the sea. None could imagine that beneath them, the most advanced fleet in galactic history was awakening in orbit. The Galactic Council's deep space observatories began to detect gravitational anomalies near Earth. The readings made no sense, as if hundreds of moving objects had suddenly materialized and vanished again. "It must be natural distortion," said one alien technician. "Earth's magnetic field is unstable," but his supervisor frowned. "Mark it for review." Down below, Erebus broke through the storm clouds, water streaming off its hull as it rose into the atmosphere. Lightning reflected across its surface, painting it in gold and blue inside the bridge. Jalen looked out the viewport, his voice calm. "Signal to all ships, hold position above the Pacific. Maintain stealth fields within minutes." A dark fleet hung suspended in the upper atmosphere, invisible to every sensor, silent to every ear. An armada of ghosts guarding the planet. Dr. Holt watched the readings and whispered, "We did it." But Jalen's expression remained cold. "No, we've only shown what we can do, not who we are." A message was then transmitted across the secure Terran network, a short phrase that reached every hidden base and outpost. Phase 1 complete. The fleet stands ready. For the first time in human history, Earth was not defenseless for the first time. The galaxy had something to fear again, but the awakening did not stay secret for long at the edge of the solar system. A Varn Dominion probe intercepted fragments of the fleet's activation signal. It tried to relay the information back to its command, but before it could, its transmission cut off abruptly. Somewhere between Mars and Jupiter, the probe simply vanished. In the council chambers, arguments broke out. Some claimed the humans were building ships again. Others laughed at the idea. "They don't have the resources," said one ambassador. "Their planet barely survived our embargo." The Valthar speaker waved a silver hand. "Humans may build toys, but they are no threat." Yet deep inside, even the speaker felt unease. Back on Earth, Jalen stood before a massive holographic display showing the fleet hovering above the planet. "We have no intention to start a war," he said to his officers, "but if war comes, we finish it." His words spread through the intercoms of every ship. The crew saluted silently. No cheers, no celebration, just determination. As the fleet drifted above the clouds, cloaked and unseen, humans on the ground went about their lives unaware. The world slept peacefully under the protection of a secret they would never be told. Yet in the black of space, the stars seemed to burn brighter, as if watching. Dr. Holt turned to Jalen and asked quietly, "What if they force us to reveal ourselves?" Jalen looked at the stars and replied, "Then we won't hide anymore." That night, the fleet disappeared, vanishing into the void beyond the moon, leaving only ripples of light in the upper atmosphere. Alien probes searched for them in vain, but there was nothing to find. The Obsidian fleet had gone where no one could follow. And somewhere deep between the stars, Captain Jalen looked out from his command chair and whispered, "Let them keep their peace. We'll keep our preparation." His words echoed across the bridge, soft but unbreakable. The fleet was awake now, silent, patient, and unstoppable. The first strike. The galaxy believed humanity had gone silent again. Months passed, the Council's arrogance returned, and whispers of the Terran ghosts faded into rumor. But out beyond the solar system, hidden between drifting asteroids, the Obsidian fleet waited like hunters in the dark, their black hulls invisible against the stars, their reactors pulsing softly like beating hearts. Then the moment came. A human trade station near the border of Varn Dominion space and a short transmission. Unidentified ships approaching. Refusing contact. The message cut abruptly. Static filled the channel. Moments later, every screen on Earth went red. The Varn Dominion had launched another raid, this time on a neutral convoy carrying refugees from Helios, the same world they had once destroyed. Captain Jalen stood on the bridge of Erebus, his face calm but cold. Beside him, Dr. Mara Holt watched the data streams flashing across holographic displays. "They're hitting the convoy," she said quietly. No response from the Council. No fleets inbound. Jalen looked out into the void. Then it's time they see what they banned. Across the fleet, silent alarms glowed crimson. Hundreds of ships powered up in unison. The black of space shimmered as stealth fields flickered away, revealing the Terran Armada in all its terrible beauty. The first true human fleet in centuries. Engines hummed, rail cannons aligned. Fusion cores roared to life. "Fleet Command," Jalen spoke through the comm, his voice steady. "Set course for the Helios corridor. Engage under silent protocol, no transmissions." The order spread like lightning, and without a sound the fleet jumped. Stars stretched into streaks of light as the ships vanished into hyperspace, leaving only darkness behind. The Dominion's ships surrounded the helpless convoy. Plasma fire lit the blackness like sunrise. The lead Dominion captain laughed through his comms. "Still no Terran fleet," he said. "Still weak, still crawling," but then the light around his ship dimmed, as if the stars themselves had vanished. His sensors screamed warnings too late. The first Terran warship appeared behind him, massive, silent, black as shadow. No transmission, no warning, just a pulse of energy that tore through his shields. His ship cracked open like glass under pressure. The explosion lit the sector, and then 20 more black ships decloaked. Moving in perfect formation, the Dominion fleet tried to respond. But their targeting systems went blind. Every scan jammed, every missile intercepted. The human ships moved like living ghosts, each shot precise, each maneuver flawless. The battle was over in minutes, not hours. From the surface of the last Dominion cruiser, an emergency transmission escaped, shaky and broken. They're here, humans. Have warships." The signal ended in static. When the smoke cleared, the convoy remained untouched, drifting between the remains of alien wreckage. Terran rescue vessels emerged, pulling survivors aboard. One of them whispered through tears, "They came for us." Her voice recorded and spread later like a legend. Back on Earth, the secret couldn't stay buried any longer. Civilian listening posts caught fragments of the transmission. Governments scrambled to deny it. The Council demanded explanations. But the truth had already reached the galaxy. Humanity was no longer defenseless. In the Council chambers, panic spread like wildfire. Alien ambassadors shouted over each other. "Impossible," one cried. "They were disarmed." Another hissed. "They deceived us." The Valthar speaker struck the floor with its tendrils. "We must send fleets now before they multiply." But deep inside, even the speaker knew, and it was already too late. Reports poured in from the border sectors. Dominion patrols vanishing without trace. Colonies reporting strange black silhouettes passing silently through the night sky. Whispers grew. The humans had built not one ship but hundreds on Erebus. Jalen watched the wreckage field fade behind them. "All enemy vessels neutralized," reported the tactical officer. "No losses, Doctor." Holt leaned on the console, her voice soft. "You realize this changes everything." Jalen nodded. "Good," he said quietly. Maybe now they'll listen, but deep down he knew they wouldn't. Fear was stronger than reason, and the Council's fear of humanity would soon become hate again. When news of the strike reached alien space, the galaxy trembled. Trade routes shut down. Border patrols doubled. Every species whispered the same name, Terrans. On the human colonies, hope returned. Helios's survivors built monuments of black stone, shaped like the obsidian hulls of the fleet. On each one were carved words that would echo across time. We were told to stay weak, but strength kept us alive. In the shadowed halls of Abyss 1, Mara watched the recordings of the battle replay again and again. She turned to Jalen. "We won this time, but they'll come back. The whole galaxy will come for us." Jalen's expression didn't change. Then let them come, he said. We've been waiting for that too. Outside the command tower, in the dark ocean depths, the shipyards glowed faintly blue. More hulls taking shape, larger, sharper, stronger. Humanity had built its first blade, and now it was forging the rest. And far above, in the cold black of space, Erebus drifted silently through the debris field, the stars reflected in her dark armor like tiny fires. Inside, the crew stood together as Jalen spoke one final sentence that carried through every ship of the fleet. The galaxy wanted peace through our weakness, but now they will learn peace through our strength. The fleet turned, engines flaring bright blue, vanishing into hyperspace once more, leaving behind only ruins and a single message transmitted to all known systems. Do not threaten humanity again. The galaxy had witnessed the first Terran strike. Swift, silent, absolute, and it understood now. The ghosts of Earth had awakened, and they would not sleep again. The Council's panic. The Galactic Council had not met in full session for a century, but now the chamber burned with noise, light, and fear. Alien diplomats shouted across the air, their translator drones struggling to keep up. Floating banners of dozens of civilizations flickered above their seats, all demanding the same thing. How did the humans do this? The Valthar speaker slammed its silver tendrils on the crystal floor. The sound echoed like thunder. Order, we need order, it shouted, but no one listened. Screens all around the chamber replayed the same transmission. The last message from the destroyed Varn fleet. The broken voice whispering, they're here. Humans have warships, then static, then silence for centuries. The Council had mocked the human spirit. They thought banning their fleets had ended the threat. Now that arrogance had turned to terror. Reports arrived from every border world. Dominion patrols gone missing. Colonies claiming to see black shapes passing before their moons. Merchants whispering about ghost ships that never appeared on scanners. In the corner of the hall, the Trell ambassador hissed, they lied to us. They pretended to obey. The Karn envoy replied, you expected obedience from predators. The room filled with argument, threats and fear. The speaker finally raised its glowing hand. Enough, we will form an emergency armada. We will show humanity that defiance has a cost. Across the stars, the Council mobilized fleets that had not flown for decades. Massive carriers launched from gas giant docks. Cruisers emerged from orbital rings, their hulls painted with ancient symbols of unity. Billions of beings watched the broadcast, believing once again that the galaxy was safe. But deep down they all felt the same chill, because none of them truly knew where the humans were hiding. Back on Earth, far beneath the Pacific, Captain Jalen watched the same broadcast on a silent screen. The alien fleets forming, the speeches, the threats. Dr. Mara Holt stood beside him, her arms folded tightly. They're coming, she said softly. They'll bring everything they have. Jalen nodded slowly. Then they'll see everything we've become. In the darkness of Abyss 1, the hum of reactors filled the air. Engineers whispered about the Council's message. Some were afraid, others smiled grimly. Let them come, said one mechanic. We built these ships for this moment. The mood across the hidden bases turned from secrecy to readiness. Every dockyard glowed blue. Every weapon was tested, every pilot prepared. But humanity didn't strike first. Jalen ordered restraint. No aggression, no provocation, he said firmly. Let them move first. His officers stared at him in confusion. Why wait, one asked. Because, Jalen replied. They still don't believe we exist. Fear will make them see before we ever fire another shot. In the Council's grand strategy room, holographic maps displayed human space. Thousands of ships plotted courses toward Earth, fleets converging from every direction. Commanders confident in their power. The humans cannot fight all of us, one admiral boasted. They're one world, another replied nervously. They were one world before too, and they reached the stars. The words hung in the air unchallenged as the fleets advanced. Strange events began to occur. Probes vanished without trace. Scout ships found empty systems filled with false sensor readings. Communication buoys broadcast human music on loop, haunting melodies drifting through the void. Confusing alien captains, a Varn officer whispered. They are watching us. In the Council chamber, panic grew. Our fleets are blind, cried one envoy. Our long-range scanners fail. The speaker glared at its generals. Explain this. The generals looked away. We don't know. Meanwhile, far beyond Neptune's orbit, the Obsidian fleet waited in perfect formation, silent, invisible. their black armor reflecting the distant starlight. Aboard Erebus, Jalen's voice echoed through the bridge. All units hold. Target tracking only. Hundreds of targeting systems locked onto alien ships that had no idea they were being hunted. Dr. Holt stood by the observation window, her eyes glowing in the blue light of the consoles. "If we destroy them now, they'll call us monsters," she said quietly. Jalen answered without turning. "And if we don't, they'll call us prey." The alien armada entered the solar system, thousands of ships shining like a second sunrise. The council speaker's broadcast echoed across space. "Surrender Earth's illegal weapons or face annihilation." Every channel carried its voice, yet Earth remained silent. Oceans calm, cities quiet, and then suddenly, every alien ship lost its signal feed. Screens went black. Out of the darkness between planets came a single transmission. Short and clear. "You came looking for weakness. You found the truth." Then the stars blinked. Hundreds of black silhouettes appeared around the alien fleets, moving faster than light, faster than thought. But before the first shot was fired, they stopped, hanging in silence. The council fleets froze, surrounded, unable to track, unable to breathe. Inside the speaker's command ship, panic spread. "Fire! Fire now!" someone screamed. But the speaker whispered, "No, if they wanted us dead." We'd already begun. The human ships held their line. Silent, cold, magnificent, and then, without a word, they vanished again, retreating into hyperspace like phantoms, leaving only the echo of their energy fields, and one final message burned into every alien system. "We asked for peace, you banned our defense. Now you will respect it." The council sat in stunned silence, no words, no movement. The galaxy understood at last that Earth could no longer be contained. Back in the depths of the ocean, Captain Jalen looked up at the surface of the holographic display, the stars glowing above him. "They will come again," he said softly. "And we will be ready again." Mara Holt smiled faintly. "You think they've learned their lesson?" Jalen's eyes narrowed. "No, but now they'll think twice before teaching us theirs." Outside Abyss 1, the black water shimmered as new engines came online. The hum of creation never stopped. Humanity was still building, still preparing, and somewhere deep in the endless dark between stars, alien fleets drifted home in silence, haunted by shadows they could not chase. The galaxy had wanted control, but what it created was balance born of fear. The humans were no longer subjects. They were the warning written in every council archive. The whisper passed between worlds. Never push the Terrans too far. And so, the council's panic became humanity's power. The silence of Earth became its weapon. And beneath the waves, the Obsidian fleet slept once more, waiting for the next storm. The revelation. The galaxy had gone quiet. For the first time in centuries, no wars burned across the stars. No fleets moved without fear. The name Terran carried a new kind of weight. Not hatred, not respect, but something deeper. Caution. Every alien world whispered stories about the humans. How they built warships beneath their oceans. How their fleets appeared from nothing, destroyed entire armadas, and vanished like ghosts. Some called it legend. Others called it warning, but everyone believed it. Months passed, and the Galactic Council tried to restore order, but cracks were already spreading. Old empires argued. Smaller worlds began questioning the Council's power. If humans can stand alone, they said, then why can't we? Fear turned to unrest, and unrest turned to chaos in the deep waters of Earth. Abyss 1 stood silent, the hum of machinery faded. The shipyards rested at last. Captain Jalen stood on the observation deck, looking into the black sea beyond the glass. "It's over for now," Dr. Mara Holt said softly, her voice calm, almost tired. Jalen nodded slowly. "Until the next fear finds us." Then the message came. A signal from the Galactic Council itself, encrypted but clear, requesting a meeting. "They want to negotiate," Mara said in disbelief. "After everything," Jalen smiled faintly. "Maybe they finally understand." Days later, the galaxy watched as something impossible appeared above the Council's homeworld. From the dark between suns, a single Terran flagship dropped out of hyperspace. Massive, silent, covered in armor darker than night. It blocked the light of the nearest star, casting a shadow across an entire continent. The Council's defense fleet scrambled in panic. Hundreds of alien ships surrounded the newcomer, but none fired. Their scanners read no weapons lock, no aggression, only calm silence. The massive human vessel hovered motionless. Then a transmission opened across all frequencies. The image of Captain Jalen appeared before the council. His uniform plain, his eyes steady, his voice firm but not cruel. "We are not here for war," he said. "We are here to speak." The speaker of the council hesitated, its silver tendrils trembling. "You disobeyed galactic law," it said. "You defied our rule." Jalen nodded slightly. "Yes, because your laws denied us the right to live." The chamber fell silent. No one spoke. Jalen continued. "You feared what we could become, but what we became was necessary. When you banned our defenses, you left us prey when you called us violent. You taught us restraint when you tried to control us. You reminded us why freedom matters." He paused, looking at the faces of countless alien species staring back at him through the projection. "We built the fleet not to conquer, but to survive, and if survival is rebellion, then we accept that title proudly." His words echoed through the chamber like the voice of something ancient, something undeniable. The Valthar speaker spoke again, quieter now. "And what is it you want, Captain of Earth?" Jalen's expression didn't change. "Nothing," he said simply. "No tribute, no control, only recognition. We will not kneel, we will not submit, we will not threaten, but we will never again be forbidden to protect ourselves." The speaker looked down, its voice faint. "And if the galaxy refuses?" Jalen's reply came like a blade through glass. "Then the galaxy will learn that our silence is the last warning." No threats followed. No weapons fired. The massive human ship slowly turned, rising through the atmosphere, its engines glowing like a second sunrise as it ascended into space. Every communication relay across the galaxy broadcast the same message left behind by the Terrans. "We do not seek war, but we will never be silenced again." The council watched in awe as the ship vanished into hyperspace, leaving behind nothing but a ripple in the sky and a silence that felt eternal. For a long time no one spoke, no one moved. Back on Earth, the oceans were calm again. The Obsidian fleet rested beneath the waves, their engines quiet, their hulls covered in coral and salt. Hidden once more but never forgotten, Dr. Holt walked through the silent corridors of Abyss 1, listening to the distant hum of sleeping machines. "We changed everything," she whispered. Jalen stood beside her, gazing out into the dark water. "No," he said softly. "We only reminded them who we are." Above the surface, the night sky was clear, stars reflecting on the waves like 1,000 promises. People on every continent looked upward, some knowing, most not, but all feeling the same strange peace. Humanity had stepped into legend. Far beyond, in the void between galaxies, the Erebus drifted quietly, her lights dimmed, her crew silent, watching the endless stars, and in that silence, Jalen's voice echoed through the bridge, calm and steady. "They banned our ships, but not our spirit. They feared our strength, but never our mercy. Let them remember both." The crew nodded silently, and one by one the fleet faded into the black, their engines whispering like wind across eternity, unseen, unheard, eternal. And so, the story of the banned fleet became the foundation of a new era, an age where peace existed not because of rules, but because the galaxy had learned to fear what happens when it breaks humanity's will. In every alien history archive, one final phrase was recorded: "Never ban what humans can imagine." And beneath the ocean's surface, in the dark halls of steel and silence, the Obsidian fleet dreamed, waiting for the day humanity would need it again.